Coming up, a Sad Styles production.
Get into it.
And welcome to the Retrograde video game podcast, where this week we take another look at some of the most iconic video game peripherals of all time.
Wow. My name is Andrew Bascom. With me, as always, is the bad boy podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself.
Mikey, Air, and Worth.
What is that now?
Well, it's because it's like when you add on something, it's like the N64 controller and a rumble pack.
Oh, okay.
Right? And as well, to compound on, this is also part 2 of our peripherals tier list. So there's also another because it's like you have part 1 and part 2.
Right. Okay. Yes, absolutely.
I really like this. This is like a Denis Villeneuve movie. Have you ever seen Enemy? Because this is like deeper than that.
Wow. Deeper than Enemy.
Yes.
His most popular movie.
It should be. It's really good.
Is it?
Have you not seen it?
Yeah, no, I have. I'm just saying.
It's unbelievable.
Really?
No, I think it is my favorite Denis Villeneuve movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's hot takes coming off the top. I don't think it's in my top 5.
How many movies does he have? 5? 6?
Yeah, I hate it. No. Wait. Okay. Arrival, Blade Runner, Dune, Serpico. No, Serpico. What the hell's it called? Sicario. Prisoners. Enemy. That one about the Montreal school shooting when he was younger.
Oh.
I got to 8.
Better than the Montreal school shooting when he was older and he predicted it.
That'd
be weird.
His eyes went white like a Dune character, and he's like, "I see it coming." It's like, "Oh boy."
Or like a Minority Report precog.
Yeah, we should just float him in water.
We should. I've said this a bunch, and people they're like, "Please leave the theater now." I just say that movie was great. We should float him in water.
Yeah, we should get the director.
Yeah,
dunk him in the water like a Harry Houdini style.
Duncan, Idaho, more like.
Duncan, Idaho.
Yeah.
You know what Dune 2 is missing? More Duncan, Idaho.
More Duncan, Idaho. Though I think every movie is missing more Duncan, Idaho.
I would completely agree with you. If Duncan, Idaho showed up and just with a reassuring shoulder tap.
Yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
It's like, well, nothing went to plan. And then Duncan, Idaho shows up and he's like, I got this. And we're like, I don't know if you do.
You sure are stupid. And then just moves on. You're like, good job.
Yeah, the 2 stupidest people in movie history, Duncan, Idaho and Leonardo DiCaprio. We're excited to do this. If you haven't yet heard our part 1 of our gaming peripherals tier list, that's over on our feed.
What the hell are you doing here?
What do you mean?
What are you doing here? If you're part 2, you're like, I'm going to start at part 2. What are you doing here?
I'm like, Andrew, I'm guiding the ship. What are you talking about?
No, but just imagine like, I'll listen to part 2.
Yeah.
What?
You're going to miss some of the best ones.
Yeah.
But we still have a ton of really good peripherals to talk about coming up on this list. We just had so much fun talking about them that we figured we'd split it up into 2 episodes and sue us if you don't like it. Fucking sue us.
I would love to see what that would be about. Suing them for what? Wasting our time?
Yeah, it's got to be a time wasting thing.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever get sued in your life?
I hope not. I don't know. Somebody brought this up the other day, so this is funny. This tangentially, I was thinking about mentioning this on the podcast, is that we're becoming men of a certain age. And I'm not going to say what. A lady never tells. And at what point now would you say very confidently, I will not do blank in my life?
Oh, okay. So I've been thinking about this a lot. This is a great question.
So it's like, I will never learn to play piano or something like that. You know what I mean? I will never climb Everest.
Play piano is one. Actually, no, I could see myself doing that later in life for sure.
It gets really hard because you start going, yeah, I could do it.
No, so there was this thing that I always had when I was a kid. I was terrified of prison, of going to prison.
Well, that's why you love prisoners.
This is why I love prisoners. And I don't make enemies because for some reason, because I saw Oz, I think that's why I was afraid of prison. And I was terrified of being so much
sexual assault.
So much sexual assault.
That's a nice way of putting that.
It's also, well, you didn't have to say it, Andrew. But you did.
And I did.
You did.
Someone said I didn't need to.
You censored yourself and then went on and said it. It's like that Kanye video where he's like, these doctors who are of a certain, I'm not allowed to say what they were, so we're just going to move on. They were Jewish.
I just can't help himself.
Insane. Yeah. No, help me out, Andrew. I got
never learning something.
Oh, never learning something. Yeah, prison. Going to prison.
Prison,
and I realized at this point, I think I'm pretty much in the clear. Like I don't know that I'm going to be committing crimes.
I don't know. You get behind the wheel of a car and hit somebody or something like that, and vehicular manslaughter. But
I'm so careful not to do things wrong that you never know. You could slip up. But I think
you would also do very poorly in trial, so you're definitely going to jail.
You think I would do poorly in trial?
I think so.
I think I would do well in trial.
No, I think you'd crack. And then I also think they would pull up like all your interests and your Google histories and stuff like that, and they'd be like, Oh, wow.
That's a big problem because we do have a lot of damning evidence.
Yes.
To go back on this podcast and just check it all out. What are some things that you think you're never going to do at this point?
It's a really tough one, and it actually says more about. I would suggest you do at home.
Mm-hmm.
Come up with some stuff because it's very funny to find the things that are definitive in your life that you won't do because I don't have many.
Yeah.
I still think of like, oh, I might do that.
Yeah.
Which is scary, by the way, because you can just do that your whole life. Like, I might do that.
That's true. I thought for a long time that maybe at some point I would try stand-up comedy.
Oh, yeah.
And to everyone's delight, I never have. But I figured that might be something. And the older I get, it's that feeling of starting something for the first time when everyone else around you starts it when they're like 17 years old.
Yeah.
And when you're 17, you look at a man of a certain age, as you might say,
yes.
and think, what the fuck is that guy doing here?
This guy's twice my age.
That's it. And it's the well, don't say that.
And plus.
That's true. Fuck. Yeah, but that's one that I'm like, I don't know if it'll ever happen at this point. If I'll ever get myself on stage.
You wouldn't say, I'm never going to
No,
do it.
I wouldn't say
See,
it.
that's
Yeah,
what I'm
that's
saying.
true.
Like, even to the point that like, if they're like, oh, climb Kilimanjaro, I'm like, I don't know. I could turn 50 and do it.
I could see myself climbing a mountain for sure.
Yeah.
For
Like
sure.
I it's really tough for me to eliminate a lot of stuff, which is both encouraging that I am so hopeful in my life, but also a little damning that I'm like, so you're just going to like wait one day and they go, okay, well, that came the day. I'm not going to do it anymore.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's kind of sad too. So
It's, I think if you asked me a few months ago, I would have kept saying, I still think I might beat Disco Elysium, and I did beat Disco Elysium. And that was like the last thing on my bucket list. So whatever the fuck happens now, I don't really care, to be honest.
you're checked out at this point.
I'm checked out. Speaking of games, it's like what we like to do on this podcast.
Yes,
we do it
video
quite
games.
a bit, actually.
Yeah.
In fact, it's in the description of the podcast. People come to us for, I don't know, I would say like guidance.
They come up with tears in their eyes. Sir.
Just hands like, and we're recording this not to date ourselves too much, although I would love to date myself. It seems like a dream.
Oh my God.
I would love it.
A nightmare.
Have you ever okay. How do you word this? If you knew that the person you were talking to was you, was you manifest somehow, wasn't an
But I
impersonator.
don't look like me.
No, you are you. You look exactly like
okay,
you.
well then, yeah, okay.
Would you, and the person was like, we have to try to hook up.
Yeah.
Would you do it?
Yeah, probably.
I think I would.
Yeah.
I think I would have to. In
Yeah,
fact,
like-
I hope it happens.
like I'd go down on myself.
I want to know. I want to know what I've put other people through.
Yeah.
All 0 of them who've ever done that for me.
It's a little tough because my interests are so heteronormative.
Yes.
So that is a little odd that you're like, I'm not interested in that in other people, but with yourself, I think you get some kind of weird.
I think you get a pass.
Yeah, but it's not even a pass because it's not like I'm worried people are going to be like, no. I both of me walk out of a room and someone goes gay, and I'm like, God damn it! Like,
So
what the
funny.
hell?
Someone's like, you slept with yourself. I'm like, yeah, don't worry. Like Kevin Spacey. Oh no, the opposite. I am gay now.
Yeah, I'm not worried about people accusing me of that. That's that is totally
They're like,
fine. In
we
my
didn't
life.
care that you're gay. You fucked yourself.
Yeah, I think this is incest, possibly.
Maybe.
I don't know. No, it's just that I'm not motivated by that genitalia, so that would be a little tough. It would almost be like
Motivated. Like carrot and the stick, or both.
yeah.
It serves
A
as
lot
both
of
the
carrot.
carrot and the stick.
A lot of carrot. I always did my snowman very wrong.
You did your snowman very
Carrot
wrong.
just on the bottom.
In the ass?
Honk.
You did them wrong?
No. Sorry. We were going too fast, and then you had a punchline you wanted to repeat a couple times. What's that?
Yeah, you said you did them very wrong. I said in the ass.
Right, and that's very good because I put a carrot in the snowman's ass. Is that what you're saying?
No, it means you did it wrong. You fucked it the wrong way. Andrew.
Oh, I don't think there is a wrong way. I think everyone can do it the way that they.
I think there is a wrong way, and this says a lot about you, Andrew.
Oh yeah.
Without consent.
Whoa! Oh, you got me. Damn it. That is bad. You're right. That is.
And that's ironic because I didn't ask you before I just fucked you big time on air.
I have this big badge that says ally that they gave me that is completely meaningless, and somebody's taking it away from me. I'm like, no. Damn it.
Oh no. Yeah, it's and then there's a bunch of people over on some shady side of the street like, don't worry, you could be our ally. Like, no,
I don't wanna be with you
align
either.
with you either. What's going on?
Yeah, it doesn't mean just because I'm not. Yeah, okay.
No, so we do talk about games on this podcast a lot, and we also talk about Marvel on this podcast a lot. And recently there was a reveal for a game that I had no idea was coming, but it's Marvel Rivals, which is a new 6v6 shooter that Marvel is putting out there, and looks to be like it's taking the playbook straight out of Overwatch.
Yes.
Now, Marvel is no stranger to licensing their likeness, their characters to video games that kind of take a lot of pages from the books of Blizzard games. I would look at Marvel Snap as an example of kind of a deck building game like Hearthstone that they mimicked and actually Have you ever played Marvel Snap? Did you end up playing that?
Oh yeah,
and you
I
liked
still
it,
play
right?
it.
Yeah. So it's a good game, and my instinct when I first heard of Marvel Rivals and I heard 6v6, and you see in the beginning of the trailer Doctor Strange like floating in the air towards a team fight, and I'm just like, this looks fucking terrible. I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
By the end of the trailer, I was like, this could be okay.
See, okay, a couple things. You already are leaning towards it. Marvel.
Yes. No, but that kind of makes me lean away from it.
Really?
Licensed properties, I'm like, I think my instinct tells me that they're going to cut a lot of corners because they know people are going to play because it's Marvel. So the balancing may be off and the mechanics may be off, but that's my initial thought.
A huge part of their budget goes towards the licensing fees.
That's it.
Of using the thing.
Yes.
I get that. But like, okay, so it's generic 6v6 shooter. You're more excited? Like, just like, my name is Aldous Thurborn.
Well,
and I would have,
Overwatch.
Yeah, I agree. But that like, did you play a lot of 6v6 shooters before that?
No, Overwatch was my favorite.
Overwatch took your virginity.
Apart from Team Fortress, which is a big influence on Overwatch, yeah.
But you started to go, I like these kind of games.
Yes, yeah.
And so this would make sense. Whereas I think you would have a tough time finding another generic 6v6 shooter because you're still in love with Overwatch and it burned you. You know what I mean?
That's true. Apex, I don't really play. They're Valorant, I didn't really play.
Right.
100%.
So at least this has got like a foot in the door of going like, well, at least I know what this is.
Yes.
And I agree with you that most of the, like we were talking about it a couple weeks ago, the Square Enix Avengers game. And I was like, I so badly wanted that to be good. And it still looks good, but it's just like not it. Yeah. And because at the end of the day, they're supposed to be fun and it's not fun.
See, that's the selling feature that they promised me was fun.
No.
And it was weird because I saw it on the box.
Yeah. Like, this is fun.
This is fun. And then I opened the box and I was like, well, that's a disc. So it remains to be seen.
Yeah. There was no like explosion of like balloons and stuff that come out of the
confetti.
box.
Give me some confetti.
Yeah.
Just a little piece of confetti to fall out of the case when I open it.
Oh, that's
See,
fun.
that would have been great.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, who's in here with me? No one. It's me, myself, and I. If it was me, myself, and I, that'd be a gangbang.
No, it's a threesome. It's a three. But like, I agree that they just haven't made it fun. I like Marvel Snap, and there is other Marvel properties.
Yeah.
You liked Sons of
Midnight Suns.
Midnight Suns.
Yeah.
But okay, so we watched a trailer together here.
We
just
did.
now. It doesn't look great.
Go on.
It is almost a level taken right out of Overwatch. Like if I close my eyes, I'm like, that's Overwatch, right?
Even character to character. Like the Hulk is clearly Winston. I think Iron Man looks to be Echo or something along those lines.
Yes, Farah is like Doctor Strange,
something
or
like that.
Iron Man, I guess.
Yeah.
So like there's weird like very close parallels. It just felt very like small. Like the characters felt very small in a bigger environment, and I don't know if this is great. Hey. All for it. I agree. And all a trailer's supposed to do is get you from being disinterested to interested. And this is absolutely on my radar. It's coming out, I think, in May. And like I'll have the date circled. I'll probably give it a shot. It's free to play, which is both a gift and a curse. I'm very hesitant to commit myself to a 6v6 shooter that is free to play because we saw what happened with Overwatch. Overwatch 2, sorry, you're right. And I worry that the monetization model is going to be a little bit squirrely. Yes. And that scares me. Like Squirrel Girl, my favorite Marvel character. Yeah. That's a kind of like the foil of Rocket Raccoon. Yes, Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl is a funny character. Is she real? Yeah. Really? Yeah. Do you want any other questions? I would love to know more. What does she do? What are her likes and interests? She has like little squirrel like mustaches, ears, and she is, I think, famously adorable. I hope she's not a child character, but I think she's like, I don't know more about her, but I know she was in a cartoon couple years ago because I knew the voice actor like a little bit, and so like I thought that was pretty cool. But and she shows up in Marvel Snap a lot. So cool, Squirrel Girl. Oh, that's great. I know so many characters because of Marvel Snap. Honestly, there are hundreds and hundreds of cards. There is this weird thing when a licensed property does something right. It gets you in the door because you have a vested interest, but maybe not a full commitment to the property, and then you learn more as a result. I think weirdly the closest thing, and this is a licensed property, is NHL. I always liked hockey and I always followed the NHL franchise, but when NHL 07 came out and I was consumed by it, I knew every player on every team. Like there was interest, and then it got me in, and then I went to another level, just like you and Marvel. Part of me does that with Madden every year, where I'm like, oh, I know everyone's left guard now. Yes, like because I'm like scouring trying to get the Buffalo Bills better. But okay, back to Marvel for a second, just because. Did you also hear the news recently over at the completely impeccable and nothing's ever wrong with Blizzard that they have cut the PvE completely
I
from
did,
Overwatch
yes.
2, which was one of their selling points because they're like, it's been disappointing sales. I'm like, I wonder why, Blizzard.
This is
Hoisted up by your own petard.
we can't say that anymore.
That is the joke from the original V.
Yes, which I haven't seen, but my player one reminds me of it all the time.
I think it's so funny.
I agree. There's something afoot at Blizzard. I mean, there are a few things. There are something afoot at Blizzard. There are multiple things going
Fetishes.
on. They're trying to clone themselves for a big work party. I worry, especially with something like Overwatch, which was so near and dear to my heart, which I have a literal tattoo from. So
Yes.
it's always going to hold a spot in my heart. But it's very clear that they're losing a grip on the professional scene. That they're this thing that was potentially going to be the next big step, or the thing to really hoist by its own petard. The professional gaming into the mainstream potentially, that it's just they're dialing it back, and I think are essentially going to retire it at some point. I can't imagine in a world where Fortnite has held its footing so strongly,
And if not grown.
and definitely grown. Yeah, you're right. And other games are coming in and knocking on its door. I just don't know what Overwatch has to offer, or how it can possibly turn things around. Because at this point, I was interested. I'm not anymore. And the times I've been tempted to experience it again, I look at the roster and I don't recognize some people and the balance is off. And I'm like, I don't think I ever could get back into that.
I think I tried playing a couple weeks ago just because I was waiting for something to download. This is awful. That is like, that's the only reason I play. And you're right. A lot of the characters you don't recognize. And I think there was a strategy to go like, more characters. We'll just give more characters because they're dwindling. So we need to throw more characters at it. It's funny you were talking about NHL 07.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a game I'm playing this week, and it is MLB The Show.
Oh yeah,
24,
who's
that's
on the cover of that?
It's just a Toronto Blue Jay name, Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Oh, he winner of the home run derby last year.
Winner of the home run twice. Winner of the home run derby. Yeah, his
but only once last year.
His career highlights are.
Winning the
a
home run
preseason home run in the old Montreal Expo Stadium, the Olympic Stadium, and 2 home run derbies, and doing
the splits on first base. That was pretty cool.
He's very agile for a large man.
He is very agile.
Yeah, like it's one of those. Yeah, okay, whatever. We don't need to get into that. We're just gonna talk about the Toronto Blue Jays for a while there.
Recording this on opening day, actually.
We are recording it on opening day. A little peek behind the curtain. This comes out in May. No, like
don't peek behind the curtain. I am fucking a version of myself.
But yeah, no, I'm playing that, and it's the same thing I was talking about. Where like now I go through all the rosters and I'm like, okay, that's a good reliever. And it's just so funny. You could flash back 20 years, more than 20 years, and that's exactly what I was doing at the exact same time this year. I don't know if that's sad or kind of cool.
No, it's great. I love tradition. I love things that you can look forward to year after year.
You are a big tradition guy.
I am a big tradition guy.
Yeah. I find tradition is good, but also like a prison of our own creation sometimes.
It is. It's a little like an anchor around our neck.
Yeah, like we can't do that. We always do it this year. Like, well, is that good though? Like, you know, sometimes like we look at traditions. Like my mom's got this one for Christmas, where she's like, we watch all these movies together. And I have now, since I've become an adult, going like, most of these are bad. Most of these are bad movies. And so like, you understand if it was 1, you're like, hey, I can get through this. We're family. It's like 7. You're like, okay, guys. Like, I don't know what
my family does something similar. Elf is the guaranteed one. We're going to watch Elf.
Elf's not bad though.
It's great. It's just I don't really watch movies multiple times. So when I have to watch Elf twice a year, it don't do that to me.
Yeah, but you get a little eggnog. You're on your phone. Like it doesn't.
True.
You know, whatever.
But when you start to say like get a little eggnog and your phone, it'll go down easier. Then I'm like, I would rather be playing video games. Like so much of my life comes down to that, where it's like, just relax. Have some
just
fun.
Like 20 years before, you said the exact same thing at your family home.
Yeah,
going like, I'm just gonna play video games. Why am I doing this?
You guys, shut up. No, I love that you're playing the show. What are your thoughts so far? How is because last year around this time you described really liking the sound of the crack of the bat, and that was like an unironic thing that you said.
Mikey, let me tell you, man. Who needs Viagra? Like just a crack of the bat and you're like 12 to midnight. That didn't make it. 6 to midnight.
Give us 12 to midnight.
Yeah.
It stayed hard.
Yeah. I was already erect, stayed erect. It is funny though that with the technology, they still there's still all these like little the sounds are just fun because the sounds of baseball are very relaxing.
Peanuts, get your peanuts.
Yeah, 100%. You can hear people talking. You can hear the bench coaches yelling and all that kind of stuff.
Oh my God, he's got a gun.
yeah. Like, is that Queen Elizabeth? You know, it's that kind of stuff, which I find really, you know, a lot of fun. I the MLB The Show, the road to the show, excuse me. That's always a fun one. So I got drafted in the 9th round. I was like, oh no,
the
what?
9th round.
Yeah, there's 12 rounds.
Do you suck at this
rounds?
game?
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying something a little different where I've seen people on TikTok and online
To succeed?
Yeah, I'm in a mid-level marketing scheme.
Yeah.
They play with a different style of batting. So mine was always contact. You just wait for timing, and then you hit the button, and then you hit the ball, hopefully. And this one is now like more of a zone thing where you're guessing where the pitch is going to be. So you put your area, like you put your like a heat map kind of thing over.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it's a lot more intuitive and it's tougher.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I think I played pretty well. I hit 500 in the combine and stuff like that. And they're like, I got drafted by the Miami Marlins in the 9th round. And in the thing is like, are you happy with it? I'm like, no. Like I couldn't even hide it. I was like, no. And they're like, do you want to go to Miami? I'm like, no. But I didn't force my hand because there is a certain amount of like, you can go to your favorite team if you really wanted to. I'm like, no, I'm gonna be realistic and just pissed because now I play for the Pensacola Woohoos in fucking Florida and it's tough. I played the Alabama Biscuits the other day. Fucking awful.
You rode the gravy train all the way to the...
I did. I'm riding the bus, man. It sucks.
That was like in NHL 07, to go back to that. I was drafted to the St. Louis Blues, everyone's favorite team, playing for the Peoria Rivermen for a few. The only reason I would ever know that. Yeah.
I suck. I'm going to be in this for a year. Like, I'm awful.
I like the idea that MLB is like taking stats and sending notifications to like Miami. They're like, no one wants to play for your team. No one wants to. Hey, Alabama Biscuits, good name. No one wants to be playing.
I love minor league baseball names. I just think they're the best. There's Space Raccoons. There's the
wow.
Yeah, it's just awesome. There's the Pickles. It's so good. But one of the ones that there's some little stuff that they changed that I find really interesting. They're using MLB TV a lot more. So there's like, the top 100 list has come out. Like, Carlos Pena, what do you think? And he's like, to make that list, blah blah blah. And you're like, cool. And you watch a video. And you realize it has no impact into what the information they're going to give you. It's just a video. I'm like, oh, that sucks. I'm going to skip this every time now.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be like an Andrew Bascom, now the 92nd prospect in baseball for the Pensacola Woohoos.
100%. There's only so much of the contextual cues that they can give you with the audio and all that. Yeah.
So it's like they put effort into it. And I'm like, I'm going to skip every single one of these now.
Yeah. Someone who is like remembering their directing days with everyone in the booth is like, people will like this.
Yeah.
This is going to be good.
It makes it feel real. Like I get that part of it, but whatever. So I will update how I move up into the league.
Nice.
It's going to take time.
We can call it. It can be a weekly update called Show and Tell.
Yes. Yeah. Road to the show and tell.
Road to the show and tell. I love that, Andrew.
Road to the show and pen and tell. No, road to the show. Road to show and tell.
Road to the show and tell. Okay, we're good. We don't need to move past
Stop.
that. That's good.
We need an editor sometimes.
Yeah, except everyone refuses to work with us because they have to edit so much. They're like, you talked about fucking yourself 6 times in the first 20 minutes.
Hope you guys like 90-minute episodes. We record for 9 hours.
So you want to get to it? You want to get to the next little bit of our tier list? This is what we're here for, Andrew. Mm-hmm. Let's do a little bit of a recap.
Yes, I was going to say.
Of where we're at right now. So we'll start from the lowest and we'll work our way up. So we're doing from S, A, B, C, and F. So we replaced D with F because F is bad. In the F tier so far, we have Tony Hawk Pro Skater Skateboard. We have the Power Glove. We have in C, the Chainsaw Controller for Resident Evil, and the Game Boy Camera / printer. In B, we have the Guitar Hero or Rock Band Drum Kit and the, say it with me, Donkey Konga Bongos.
Donkey Konga Bongos. I've been saying that all goddamn week.
It's great.
Donkey Konga Bongos.
It was fun again.
So good.
Give me one more. Hit me.
Oh.
1 time.
You mean those Donkey Konga Bongos?
Oh, 2 time.
Donkey Konga Bongos, Donkey Konga Bongos.
3 time.
Donkey Konga Bongos, Donkey Konga Bongos, Donkey Konga Bongos. My tongue rolls out of my mouth like toilet paper.
And in A, we have the N64 Rumble Pack and the VMU for Dreamcast. In the S, we have the Guitar Hero guitar and the Duck Hunt Zapper.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's some good ones. It's interesting, going back and we've talked about maybe doing a more like weird peripheral episode where we focus on some of the weirdest ones. And there was another Zapper style thing, I think for the Super Nintendo. It was called the Scope or something. And it was like a massive light gun. It was like 3 feet long. Wow. It was really, really cool. But obviously the Zapper is the iconic one that we want to stick with.
Yeah, there's a bunch of, if you do weird ones, then we can get into arcades and stuff too. Like just like the Sniper Scope or Silent Scope.
Oh, Silent Scope was great. Yeah. There was the game where you have the peripheral is like a hand that's kind of making like 2 guns, like a little jutting out. I'm trying to describe this for the listener.
Yeah, watch videos.
You kind of put your fist together and your index and middle finger out. Yeah. And the whole game, there's like a giant butt in front of you. And you have to put the fingers into the butt.
A butt?
This is, what? It sounds like I'm making this up. It's a Japanese game.
No.
It
Get out of here.
Sorry, it's Swedish. Yeah, that's the game. Is like you have to surprise people by, because apparently that's like a game in Japan that you do, like a prank.
It sounds like a game that they
people.
probably outlawed. A while back.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's still going strong. You know, don't cancel the fingers in the butt game. First, then what?
You just warned me that consent is sexy, and now you're just shoving fingers in people's butts.
But it's in Japan.
Yeah.
Totally different.
There's a waiver you sign when you come in. Consent is non-existent.
Yeah, you're like, oh, what about this little bit? It's just in the bottom. I'm sure it's nothing. But the 4 fingers in the butt. What is this about?
And they laugh and they go, it'll be a lot of fun. And you're like, oh, okay.
Okay, so let's get to it, Andrew. As a quick reminder, we decided not to rank the racing wheel, generic racing wheels.
Yes.
Because we don't have any experience in there, but we acknowledge that they exist, that they exist, and that a lot of people love them,
And they're probably a lot of fun.
and they're probably a ton of fun. And it's the same thing with a fighting stick. We're leaving those two off,
Yes.
because we just don't use them that often. We know they're worthwhile.
Yeah. I think we said flight simulator as well.
Oh yeah, and a flight stick.
Yeah.
a flight
Same
stick.
idea.
A fight stick, a flight
Fight or
stick,
flight.
fight or flight, and then a racing wheel, which is drive, fight,
Yes.
fly, or drive. You can drive away from your problems too these days. Okay, so let's get to it, Andrew.
Okay.
Let's get with. We'll start with one that I think is both iconic and useful. I think a lot more people used this peripheral than you might think.
Useful's good.
Useful is good.
Yeah.
Because the saturation for the console that was on was so massive. We're looking at the Wii Fit Balance board.
Wow.
Did you ever play Wii Fit?
No.
No.
I never had a Wii.
Right. I forget that you never.
Yeah, I never had a Wii.
You were the one person who didn't buy one. Yeah.
They showed up at the door like, do you want your Wii? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm good. Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate
No
it.
thanks,
You get a
no
state
thanks.
issued Wii.
Yeah,
In Canada, people don't know that. Yeah.
You had to get a state issued
You
Wii,
did.
and then as soon as you bend over to plug it in, they stick 4 fingers in your butt. And they say, "Welcome to Japan." I'm like, "Oh, you son of a bitch!"
Damn it. Got me again.
I got the Wii Fit Balance board. This was at a time I was in university, and we're younger people and we have better metabolisms, and we're just in better shape naturally. So I was like, all I need to do is like a 15-minute workout at home every day, and like I'm good, I'm golden. So I thought, why don't I gamify this?
Right.
Which put the Wii Fit kind of ahead of a lot of other peripherals in the marketplace, like the Fitbit. Everything is now about gamifying exercise and health.
I got an Apple Watch on right now. That's like a big part of it. I didn't get it because it was cool.
That's just a Granny Smith with an elastic band, Andrew. That's not what they mean by Apple Watch. You can watch it. You can watch it. And
yeah, but I do.
And
I do watch it.
And what time is it?
It's a green. I can't read 24-hour clocks. I don't know.
No, it's military time.
Yeah, it's military time.
So it's a rationed apple.
Yeah.
There's a
brown on that side, so I guess it's almost done.
Stale tin of cigarettes in there somewhere. 2 pieces of stale Hershey chocolate. So it was definitely ahead of its time, and I think there was an element of it that worked. You would pick a trainer and you would get on the board and it would tell you what your progress was, and you would use both the Wii controller as well as the balance board, so it can tell, if you were doing like single leg deadlifts or something like that, or like some balancing stuff. It could tell how balanced you were, how much you were struggling, because it had like gyroscopic sensors in it. So if your leg was shaking, it was like, oh, you're struggling a little bit, but you're working hard. This is what you're burning. Yeah, very passive aggressive. You're struggling a little bit.
You're struggling a little bit. It's like, I know, computer. Yeah.
But I thought that it did a good job of keeping you engaged in the way where it says something, you've maybe had a worse workout than the day before, and you're like, well, fuck you, don't tell me that, but I'm definitely going to do better the next day. So it kind of worked. Did I love it? Not really.
How long do you stick with it? Knowing that you probably stuck with it 10 times longer than anyone else.
That's true. And I think it was probably 2 months.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, like, they say that it's something like 5% of people who buy workout equipment actually use it beyond the first week that they have it, or something crazy.
Totally
like
makes
that.
sense. Yes.
And
the same with gym memberships, they use it like 10% of
exactly,
the time.
Exactly. And I think the Wii Fit is kind of similar, especially because it wasn't incorporated to many other games apart from Wii Fit.
Okay.
And this is something that I think we have to consider as we start to look towards some of the peripherals in here, is if it's only for one game and that game isn't great, or is great, that I think either of those options have like a very big sway on where we place this thing.
Right.
So why don't you put yourself in the mindset of someone who is like the demographic or the audience for a Wii Fit balance board. Is this something that you would want? Like where are you slotting something like this?
I don't know. Like the problem is current technology has passed it so much.
Yes.
And I don't want to name a peripheral that's not on this list, but probably will be on the future. Do you ever try that circle?
Oh, it's the Nintendo Switch had it. It was it was basically you put each of the Joy-Cons into it. I can't remember the name of it, but it was like a resistance circle.
Yeah, it's a circle, and you got to keep it up, and you got to move it around
and
stuff,
then bend it, and
yeah.
And apparently that was a pretty good workout.
That sounds like a good workout.
Yeah.
Whereas standing on a board does not sound like a good workout.
And it was much more gamified than the Nintendo Switch one than the Wii Fit was, where the Wii Fit was basically like you're doing like yoga poses and stuff like that. And the games were not very fun. This one was like an adventure game that you would go on. It was very successful. I think especially over COVID, people were like, you know, like the Nintendo Switch got a lot of people through COVID, be it Animal Crossing or this game, whatever it was. And it looked like fun. Like it looked like the game was enjoyable. Does that ever work on you though? Like in the gamification of exercise, are you ever like, I'm forgetting about my quads burning because I'm collecting coins?
Absolutely not. So like I ran a half marathon a couple months ago, and up until that was right after I came back from Japan and got married, and it was a good year for me. And there's so many running apps like Couch to 5K, or like there's this one about Lord of the Rings where you follow the path that Frodo took to Mordor, and so every day it tells you how much closer you are.
That's actually really cool.
There's one where it's zombies are chasing you, and so if you slow down in pace in your earphones, you can hear the zombies getting louder and like things like that. So there's a lot of things that motivate you to gamify running, right? I'm just gonna use that as an example. And no, I guess what I want to do when I'm running. Forget that I'm running.
100%.
So like I am the psychopath that will listen to like a podcast or a book because music is great. And if I really had to run for 2 straight minutes, I would love to listen to music that's like high BPM and like ready to go. But the second it switches up, then I switch up, and then it switches songs. I hear silence and I go, oh my God, you're running. You could always stop. Yes. You could always go home, and sit on a couch.
Do you get this weird thing where when you're running, a song that is very fast paced sounds slower to you when you're running?
Oh, interesting. I've never thought about it like that.
I noticed it to the point where I thought the version of the song I was listening to was incorrect. Like it was a different version, like a slowed down version. Then I listened to it afterwards, and I realized when I'm running, maybe it's my heart rate, or I'm just the moment to moment existence is excruciating, so everything feels slower. I'm not sure, but I agree. Like the idea of gamifying something just makes me resent the game of it. Like playing that game on the Switch and seeing your character going through and jumping through coins, it would just make me hate games, as opposed to being like, I'm here for one reason, and that's to start sweating and to get a workout in.
I know. If you've ever run while listening to this podcast, let us know. But yeah, no, I locked it. I knew it was going to be a Sunday morning. I know Blank Check comes on Saturday night. Their podcast is usually 2 hours long. My time that I wanted to be around was 1:40, and I'm like, here we go.
That's awesome.
But if I know if the podcast is done, I've fucked up in some way.
I'm still here.
No.
That's the farthest I've ever run was listening to a podcast as well. And I was just, because I didn't want to go in and stop listening to it. I'm like, I got another K in me, like whatever. Yeah. And that by K, I mean a gram of cocaine.
So yeah, ketamine, obviously.
Yes, ketamine
with K. So this one, okay. This is where I'm going to have trouble, because we put the Duck Hunt Zapper.
We did.
In the S tier, the highest of tiers, but it only applies really to one game or one franchise.
It obviously worked for other games, but that's the only one that anyone played with it.
No one else is coming like, oh, remember the Duck Hunt Zapper from this a game, whatever. This a game.
This a game.
It's from Mario. But remember shooting Mario, shooting Donkey Kong.
Yeah. I don't think that would affect him.
No, he's too strong.
He's too strong.
Yeah, it's like shooting the Hulk. But at the same time, it's like this one was only really applied to Wii Fit. So do I punish it for only having the one game when we kind of looked over with the other one?
Here's how I would qualify that. Mm-hmm. It was really only used for one game, similar to Duck Hunt, but the iconic nature of the Wii Fit Balance board does not hold a candle to the Zapper, nor was the implementation of it as fun or as revolutionary. And I know we talked about it being revolutionary in the gamifying exercise kind of sense, but the playing with a Zapper on a screen at home was so fucking ahead of its time. That's crazy that they did that. I think this is a solid down the middle B, because it worked well with one game. I don't think it kept a ton of people's attention. It probably sold incredibly well, but I don't know that anyone stuck with it in the way that it's going to be like your new workout routine for the rest of your life.
No one's still like, I'm on my 10,000 day streak of the Wii Fit.
It was the thing to get them to the next infomercial about the easy way to work out that they saw. Like,
my only thing is that I think you could give it credit for being a pioneer.
That's true.
Because this peripheral fitness things is now an incredibly huge industry.
And this was 10 years prior to that. So do you want to slot it in A then?
No, I think B.
Oh, B.
I'm very comfortable with B. I was actually going to go lower until we start talking about that.
Okay, cool. So I'm good with that. And again, we're going to take one look at the entire list once we're done and see if we can change it.
Wii Fit was always famous too because they follow the BMI index, which, whatever, is like pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
And they're always like, you could have like a football linebacker with not an ounce of fat.
Yes.
They're like, you are obese. like, oh man.
Body mass index was the strangest thing of all time. Yeah.
Some people still really, I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. You do you. Whatever it takes to get yourself in shape.
You do you, or the person you pay will also use it to make you feel bad about yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, linebacker, you're fat.
Like, hey, Tubby. And you're like, what the fuck?
The next one came to us, recommendation from friend of the show again, Riley Little, who also recommended the chainsaw controller for Resident Evil last week. Riley Little recommended the Multitap for PlayStation. And I'm going to throw two other ones, loop them in because they're kind of the same sort of idea, although they're a little bit less well known. The NES had the NES Satellite, which allowed you to connect up to 4 controllers to it, and the NES 4Score was the name of it.
That's amazing.
It's an amazing name.
It's
it's such a good name.
4Score?
Yes. Which I hope is what we're thinking.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope so. Otherwise, it's just a random name. But
and then if you wanted to go up to 7, it's 7 years ago.
That would be great. That'd be great.
So everyone knows what we're talking about. The Multitap is what you'd plug it into one of the ports that would allow it to be 4 controllers.
4 controllers for the PlayStation.
So usually there's only 2 ports and allowed you to get to 5.
I think it was 4.
And maxed out at 4?
Yeah.
Okay, maxed out at 4.
And here's the thing about the Multitap versus the NES Satellite or the NES 4Score is the Multitap had a decent amount of support to it. And it came at a time, so a lot more games allowed you to use 4 controllers as compared to the NES, which was just, it felt like more of a novelty. And this was at a time when like the PlayStation and the N64 were both trying to compete with one another because they both offered different things. Disc-based media for the PlayStation was cool and nifty. The N64 had, arguably better graphics and better handle on 3D. But the PlayStation had memory cards and the N64 didn't. So they had the controller pack, which allowed you to transfer saves. And they were competing with one another blow for blow. N64 allowed you the 4 controllers, and PlayStation is like, we cannot sell consoles unless we can allow 4 people to play together. Introduces the Multitap, and that really did even the playing field, especially for multiplayer games.
Yeah, it was readily available. Like you could do that in a lot of PlayStation games.
A lot more PlayStation games than you could with like the earlier NES games, and the games that mattered, I think, with the Multitap. And I remember having a lot of fun. It felt like you almost got a new console. Like you could go back and play some other games and have support for 4 players, and it felt like something now that, whereas I think if you were having a sleepover or something, you always wanted to bring an N64 because 4 controllers is better 100%. Than 2. This really opened up the number of games that you could play with other people just from the implementation of an accessory, which is says a lot.
It does say a lot. And I the only thing before I start, negging it for it to be attracted to me, is that
it's working on me.
I'm all around.
I'm catching strays from you negging this Multitap over here.
If we talk
Are you gonna tap it multiple times after the negging's
done? Run a train on this Multitap. What I was gonna say is that if you remember multiplayer games as a kid from this era, you immediately go to GoldenEye.
Yes.
You go to Mario Kart. You go to like all these games where you could play together, Perfect Dark, whatever. And those are most likely N64 games. Now, that could be in our shallow opinion because we played more N64 games and maybe somebody that only had a PlayStation in their friend group played this with the Multitap. I would say that Multitap has to be okay, but not great because it also didn't... it wasn't the iconic technology that made PlayStation not only a formidable foe, it just kind of caught up a little bit.
I agree with you. It's still, the PlayStation was still never the console that people thought of entirely as like Nintendo was. Like Nintendo 64 had Mario Party. There wasn't a version of that on PlayStation. And I know for each person's individual experience, I'm sure they had their version of that.
They had Crash Party.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, it wasn't the same. I'm sorry.
Crash Cowabunga, the party game.
Oh, that seems actually pretty fun. Crash Cowabunga. Yeah, that's like a Ninja Turtles and Crash crossover.
If that was true, the N64 would have been thrown out a window. I would have been playing that exclusively.
So the Multitap actually, I'm looking it up now, had you could do up to 8 players on it.
Wow.
If you had
Two of them.
multiple multi-taps, and this worked really well.
How many
apparently
multi-taps could you plug into multi-taps?
I think
Could you play with 2,000 players if you just keep plugging in multi-taps?
who needs online? Let's just all sit in a room together. But like what I'm looking at on this list is like the Maddens, the FIFAs, so you could play like 4-on-4.
Wow.
That's actually pretty cool.
That's big.
However, we both had a multi-tap and we both had a PlayStation, and neither of us really incorporated this. So there was something that like prevented us even having it from really getting the experience of 4-on-4. And I think, like you said, that's because, hey, we're having a sleepover. Well, I'm not bringing the PlayStation because then we can't play Mario Kart. Like, what are we even doing at that point? Yeah.
I think that's why it's like going to probably stop from being in the top tiers.
Yes.
But it still was a very functional piece of technology.
I agree.
That helps PlayStation catch up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
So where are you thinking for this?
I don't want to cop out and say B again, but
I'm kind of thinking A. Because if you're going back to the era of like one console households, and you buy a PlayStation and then the N64 comes out and you've got two siblings and you're like, fuck, we should have gotten that. And then, you know, the clouds part and Sony, the hand of the god of Sony reaches down with a multi-tap in it and hands that to you. And now you don't need a new console. You just get to play with your siblings.
I thought the hand would have come down and was going to give it to you and then just pokes you right in the butt.
Oh, with two multi-taps.
It's a Japanese company.
It's a Japanese company. So I don't know. I'm good with A or B on this as well, honestly.
Okay, you know what? I'll go with you on this one. Put in A for now, and we will discuss this at the end.
We will discuss.
Wait for your father to come home, and
now
we
I'm like nervous to get to the end.
It's a test that you're failing, and you don't know
exactly. Yeah. Let's go to this one. I don't know that we have to spend a ton of time on it because it's almost. Yeah, it seems like we will. It's almost unproven, and it's less of a peripheral. You tell me actually if you even want to do this one.
Please.
I added it before we recorded because I thought maybe it's worth talking about. But VR, a VR headset. And I know it's not always applicable because like I've got my Oculus, and that's something I can use without a computer. It just is the console itself.
Yeah. So is it a peripheral then?
Yeah. Are they peripherals? Do we want to count them as that or no?
I don't think so because I think that's its own thing. If we did it like that, would be almost be like a console tier list.
Yes. Yeah. Because like the PlayStation VR is kind of a peripheral, but it's also more expensive than the fucking console itself. Like it's wild.
I think like the Virtual Boy, which you put your face into.
But that was a console itself too.
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was an addition. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
So maybe we'll leave VR aside.
Let's bank that for a second because I'm sure we'll do another tier list where that will be applicable.
Here's one. I don't know where this is going to land. And this almost could have just been like the weird, when we do weird peripherals, but the SNES mouse and keyboard. You know, we've done a lot of one game things and you and I spent a ton of time playing Mario Paint back in the day. And that was with the mouse and keyboard. I thought the experience of playing video games with a mouse and keyboard, you know, on a console was just like mind blowing to me. I loved it. Probably not because Mario Paint is a great game, but because
it's not.
Because it isn't.
No,
it definitely
let's
isn't.
just
Although you can still make bangers of songs if TikTok's taught me anything. Mario Paint, for those of you who don't know, is basically almost like a collection of mini games. You could draw, you could compose music, you could swat flies. There was a fly swatting mini game, and it was kind of just like this creative outlet, like a canvas, if you will, pun intended, to explore some of the functionality of a mouse and keyboard on the Super Nintendo. I don't know that it was incredibly popular.
Yeah.
Did you? I feel like you're a little bit colder on this one.
I played it and I was like, that's kind of cool. But I think it's a very limited technology considering we had a version of that on our home computer.
True.
That like did a lot. And then you're like, oh, this is good. And then you have to play like the Mad Catz version of that with Nintendo.
Well, except that at the time it came out, gaming with a mouse and keyboard was less popular or less common, I think. And if you had a console and you didn't have a gaming PC, and a lot of people at that time probably wouldn't have had a high enough PC to play a lot of the games that you could move around and you know, with a mouse and keyboard and stuff. But I get it. I hear what you're saying. It was more just like an interesting pit stop that I had as a kid. So I don't need to put this very high. I think it was functional and it worked.
Okay.
And it was a cheap enough accessory at like $39.99 to not make this like you buy it and then you better find something to make it work. I would probably say a C for this one.
That's exactly where I had it. C is totally fine with me. I do love that Nintendo just juicing you for everything they got. Like,
they got it.
They love it.
So here's one. So last week we did the Power Glove, and the Power Glove was a cool idea, largely unusable, and we put it in the F tier.
Okay.
Here's where this next pick gets interesting because the Power Glove, as a result of how iconic it is, in spite of its lack of utility, is a huge collector's item. So too is the Rob robot.
Rob the robot.
Rob the robot, which in my mind, if there is an accessory that I want as a collector, it's probably this one, like a retro accessory, way more than the Power Glove.
Why?
Just because of the look and feel of it. It felt like...
You know how to feel it.
You can feel it.
Well, you can feel it.
I can feel it with whatever appendage I want, Andrew.
With whatever appendage you want? Whoa.
I got a bunch of fingers, a bunch of toes, a tongue.
And that's it.
And that's it.
And that's
the only appendage I have.
Yeah. I'm smooth then.
I can feel it with one of yours, though, if you want.
But so what did Rob do, though?
Rob was
a little robot.
He was a little robot.
It's like size of your forearm kind of thing, right?
Kind of, yeah. I think even smaller than that.
Oh.
Well, when we were kids, maybe it was the size of our forearm.
Sure.
Yeah. You could use Rob to play certain games. There was a game called Gyromite and Stack Up, and Rob would basically be like the computer-controlled character you were playing against. And the cool thing about this is you were playing against something in the real world, which was reflecting itself on the TV. And this is one of those things where it's like, every so often Nintendo had, not every so often, they do this a lot, but had a flash of brilliance. And there is something about Rob that was very ahead of its time in the sense that it's incorporating real and digital. Even though it wasn't a ton of fun to play with, it felt like something that was a glimpse into the future.
Sure.
Now, is it S tier? Definitely not.
No.
But I think, I don't know if you're going to agree with this or not, but I think we have to give it a consideration for being such an iconic piece of hardware, even though it isn't very usable, more so than the Power Glove.
Oh, wow. I do disagree with you because I think the Power Glove is more famous.
Okay.
And just as inefficient.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think if you showed two people or just mentioned a Power Glove or Rob the robot, people are like, Power Glove.
Well, the difference is, though, Rob has been more relevant more recently in the sense that I'm pretty sure Rob showed up in one of the Smash Bros games as a unlockable character. So there is, I think for a younger generation who's into Smash, they're probably more aware of Rob than the Power Glove. And I don't know if that speaks to the accessory itself. I'm just spitballing here. I'm blue sky.
I know you are. And that's great. And I respect you for it. But
thank you. Never heard you say that before.
I respect you for that.
Oh, just that.
Just that.
What about I don't know.
Let me stop you right there. No.
Okay. Let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
I understand.
If we were talking about famous robots from the 80s, it would be obviously Rocky Balboa's robot that feeds him cocaine, that just goes around the house as a house butler robot.
Yes.
Man, they swung high with that one. They thought
high indeed.
They're going to be like, this robot is good. You're going to have robots. All the rich people have robots.
Yeah.
And they clean the house and they do it. It's like, like the Jetsons over here.
Yeah.
And then you at home got a little version of that would help you play 2 games.
Yes.
It's so
barely.
It's funny too, is there's no way that if you didn't buy the accessory, they couldn't have just programmed AI to play against 100%. You. But they're like, you need something. Is there any kid at home that was lost for a third time and went, fuck you, Rob, and just beat the living hell out of this little robot? I don't know. I don't know what to do here.
No.
It's iconic, but I want to go low. But
I agree. It's low. Is it an F or is it a C? That's
I'm around C, but
C, yeah, because I was out of the gate B, but I hear what you're saying. If we're going to be consistent with our ratings, C or F is probably where it has to land.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say C then. I'd say C, and then write down Rocky Balboa under S, please.
Oh, under S, Rocky Balboa or his robot?
No, his robot, obviously. Rocky Balboa, no, he's a B.
Okay, so the next one we have was recommended to us by Nintendo 5, so it's like Nintendo Mouse.
Oh.
On Twitter. It's a cool name.
Yeah,
it's cool. Like Dead Mouse.
Yeah, it's like Dead Mouse.
But Nintendo Mouse.
Yeah. What's Dead Mouse up to? Is he still around?
He's making music.
I feel like I haven't heard him in a long time, whereas he was very online for a long time.
Yeah, he was very online and very successsical.
Yeah.
And I think he did a masterclass on making music, and maybe he was too successful.
Yeah, everyone got too, he's like,
too good at
everyone's
music.
too good now. Prices himself
Turns out this is way easier than...
He also had a Lamborghini. That had I forget what it was. It was like Pop-Tart Cat or whatever, some famous internet meme.
Yeah.
On as a vinyl.
Nyan Cat. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. On the side of the car, and you'd see him around the city because he's from Toronto and we live in Toronto, and you'd see that car because it's pretty noticeable,
absurd,
and loud.
Yes.
And you'd be like, "What the hell's that?" and supposedly he got sued and he had to take it off.
What?
For IP because he posted with it all the time.
Oh.
And they were like, "You can't just." And he's like, "Okay."
Ah, shit, that sucks.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I'm sure he's doing just fine. He
I
can
think
maybe
that's why. Maybe he lost all his money to Nyan Cat.
Yeah, I imagine he puts on the big dead mouse helmet that he always
yeah.
wears and screams and cries.
And it sounds great.
Yeah. It's like, whoa, a new hit single. Holy shit.
The next one was recommended to us by Nintendo 5, Nintendo Mouse. It is the GBA e-reader.
What is that?
So it was used to read cards, like Pokemon cards that you could play the Pokemon games with, or like the Pokemon card games with. So if you had the physical cards, then you can use the e-reader and they would be uploaded into the game. I have to be honest, I don't have any experience with this. I knew about it. I was never huge into the playing with cards. I liked collecting cards. I'm assuming based on your question, you haven't played it either.
No, I did. So you would play Pokemon the card game?
Yes.
On like digitally?
Yes.
Because of the cards that you put into your inventory?
Yes. Oh. Or I'm sure you could also like collect the cards in the game itself, but it's like, but I've got a holographic Charizard. I'm going to put that in the game, swipe it, and now it's worth $100,000 less in real life.
Yeah. It like there's a stripe down the middle of it.
Yeah.
Man, cards are like back in a big way. Eh?
Oh yeah.
Sports cards, it
happened over COVID.
Collectibles in general. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't know what to do with this.
I may say we're acknowledging it. It's very cool. I don't have any experience with it. Yes. I wouldn't really be comfortable ranking it.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And sorry, Nintendo Mouse. But thank you very much for suggesting that.
Great recommendation.
Yeah.
But,
I want to look into it. I'm going to look at what it looks like.
Kick rocks. How about that, Nintendo Mouse? Okay, this one is one that's near and dear to my heart. Improved my gaming experience tremendously, regardless of which console I inserted it into and which version I used. It's the Game Shark / Game Genie / anything that you plugged into your console to allow you to access more cheats.
I am so jealous you had one of these.
Oh yeah,
it
felt like such a luxury.
It was in the back of a magazine always. That's always the one I remember, like literally back page, and it would be a genie coming out of the thing, or a djinn, a djinn. Yeah. Yes. And oh man, I'm so jealous you had one of these. Was it really that effective? Like there was tons of codes?
Oh, 100%. Wow. Now here was the weird thing is you got it in whatever year you got it in, and it came packed in with a notebook that had all of the cheats for all of the games that you could use. Any game that came after that, you're just kind of screwed.
Oh no.
It's far enough removed from the internet that there's nothing you can do. I think like Nintendo Power might post some things in their magazines. Right. It was a genius. Nintendo was so smart with their implementation of things like magazines and the helpline and all that, because everything was basically to get you to cycle through games more quickly. Like the toll-free line to get help from Nintendo when you're stuck on a level, because if you beat that game, you're going to buy another game.
Yeah, 100%.
Or if you buy a Game Genie, now you want to buy the Nintendo magazine so that you can get more cheats for the Game Genie, and it's like it all feeds itself.
Was Game Genie made by Nintendo?
I don't think so.
No, I think it was a third party.
I think it was a third party, although Game Genie itself, I know Game Shark spanned across a few different consoles. Okay. I think Game Genie potentially was Nintendo, but I should look that up, but I'm not sure. But all I know is I loved playing with it. Contra, you could get, apart from just the Konami code, because a lot of games had cheats built into them.
Yeah.
This was something that just allowed you to experience elements of games that you otherwise potentially never could,
right?
Because there was such an emphasis on difficulty back in the day, and maybe you never get past level 3 because you're just too bad at video games. I'm not speaking for anyone in particular. I'm definitely not talking about myself.
No,
who was just bad at video games as a kid.
Or me.
And no, definitely not you. Well, definitely not you. Well, definitely not. Well, definitely.
Why is it so hard for you to do?
Definitely. It's okay. Something weird happened to me this morning.
Yeah. I believe that. I believe that's every morning of your life, to be perfectly honest.
I fucked myself. No, something really weird happened to me. A kid told me that
with your casual conversations with children you have all the time.
It was in the morning. First thing this morning.
Oh no.
They had a conversation with a djinn themselves.
No.
And they said they were tired of me lying about my age. And they said,
he said, I don't think you're in our class in grade 2 anymore. And he's like, sure.
I mean,
Jin told me
your penmanship says otherwise, but your gray hair, it says, no, it said that they didn't like how much I lied and then wished that I could never lie again. And that's, I think, why it's really hard for me to get past that sentence that I was just trying to say.
So you think I'm bad at video games?
Well, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. That's
no, you didn't say that.
I didn't say
that, but you insinuated it.
I didn't say that.
Your silence is deafening. Okay, so you think I'm bad at video games. That's totally fine.
I didn't say that.
That's totally. What is done is done.
Just don't ask me a yes or no question, Andrew.
Yes or no? Do you think I'm bad at video games?
I like the word
yes or no.
Yes.
Where's the gin when I need him?
It depends. Are you playing them against me?
Man, I was on a streak there, and then all the wheels fell off of this car. I've always been so jealous of this, and so I can see though that that's very frustrating because they're like, here's all the codes for all the games that have come out now, and then a new game comes out, and you're like, well, shit out of luck.
Yes.
Best of luck, dickhead.
Yeah.
That's tough.
It was tough to keep up. I looked it up, by the way. The Game Genie was, oh man, looking at images of it, what a great design. That was amazing.
So
it was by Codemasters, so it wasn't actually Nintendo first party.
It reminds me of, remember when you got Sonic and Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 with Knuckles?
Yes.
And you plugged the original 2
Sonic
into the Knuckles and then that into the console?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
It is very much like, that's exactly what it looks like. You plugged the cartridge into this and then both of them into the console. I got to be honest, Andrew, this is one that my gut tells me is like S tier. Like I loved it so much.
Yeah.
Now, is it necessary for the games? No. Did it have some issues with the timing of it based on when you got the games themselves?
Yeah.
A little bit. But I'm thinking about what's in there right now. You got the Guitar Hero Rock Band guitar and the Duck Gun Zapper. This just expanded what you could do with so many games so much. And it felt like doing something illegal and getting away with it, which was also as a kid great.
Oh yeah, it felt
even
awesome.
though I was so scared to go to prison.
Yeah, 100%. That was a real thing.
Yeah.
It was a 2-screen experience. You playing Game Genie and being scared of Oz at the same time.
Yes, exactly.
I'm totally okay with S tier. It is one of the coolest things that's ever happened. It is an absolute thing of its time because it was almost immediately made completely obsolete by the internet.
Yeah.
Like, do you have a favorite code of all time?
It's got to be the Konami code.
Yeah, the Konami code.
Or maybe one from Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, Black Coffee.
Oh,
Hot Coffee?
No, Hot Coffee was a mod where you could have sex in it, but the codes were just to get like a tank to spawn or like all the heavy weapons. I would memorize all of them.
To get cash in SimCity, you had to you had to type "I am weak." And I always thought that was like a real come to Jesus moment. You got to look yourself in the mirror and be like, "Am I weak?"
That's amazing.
I am weak.
That feels very Will Wright to me.
Yeah.
The director of the game. That's very funny.
Or weakness pays, something like that. Something like that. Yeah.
I would. The weird thing is I didn't know it was a cheat. I didn't know how I was making so much money, but I was just having a usual everyday experience for me of typing "I am weak" repeatedly into a video game and just got rich for it.
Yeah, like a Shining experience you had. Where you just type it over and over and over again.
Yeah,
right on the walls. Yeah,
it was great. Red rum. It was KU weak.
What?
Weak backwards.
Oh yeah.
KU.
Yeah. It's good. I like that.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. So S tier for the Game Shark / Game Genie. Any of these things. Let's go to this one. This one, I don't know where it's going to rank, but it definitely holds a place in my heart because of the ability to take the little pocket monsters that I loved so much and put them onto the N64. When Pokemon Stadium came out, the N64 transfer pack allowed you to take your Game Boy cartridge, put it into this, and get your Pokemon from Game Boy into your Pokemon Stadium.
Fuck. I loved this.
This was fucking amazing.
I loved this.
Because as kids, all we wanted was an N64 Pokemon game where you could walk around in the world and see the Pokemon. It was like, that would have made me so happy. If something like Pokemon Arceus came out on the N64, it would have been my favorite game of all time.
The problem is like, as Arceus proved, is like, you don't always want to get what you shouldn't get what you want all
the
time.
Well, not from Game Freak or Pokemon Company. I want to get what I want from a legitimate game developer.
Or a real world. I want to travel to that place.
I want to throw balls at squirrels.
Oh man, you killed so many squirrels with hardballs that year. I loved this. Oh, the same one would be, remember, did you ever battle somebody else with a cord, Game Boy to Game Boy?
Oh, the link cable.
Yeah, link cable.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
That
would have been a great peripheral that we didn't do for this one.
Yeah, but I get, this one is like, it's a good odd peripheral where you had such a connection to these Pokemon because of how much time you'd spend on these bloody games to get them to the level you are. And like, I can still remember those like real like core teams that I had.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like Charizard and Tauros and stuff like that. But
it's hilarious. You took Charizard. So basic.
And you chose what?
Bulbasaur. You're so basic. That's so basic. Charizard is so basic. Right. The kids agree with me. And they're also impressed that I know that word.
Basic?
Yeah.
What the
They're
hell?
like, wow, that's how we talk.
Yeah.
You must be in grade 2.
and you have a spinny hat and
I
an
have a
apple.
spinny hat.
Yeah, you gave the apple to the teacher and then make an aggressively sexual comment towards her. It's like, Jesus Christ. I just, man, to see that, like, it could have been like a tear in your eye, like seeing like your kid grow up and like go to university.
Yeah,
like,
honestly.
oh, here's my boys. Here we are.
No, it felt like, or like what I'd imagine someone feels like on like Love is Blind or something like that, where you've spent so much time with such a limited understanding of this person or thing in this case, and then you see them enter your N64 world in full 3D, and you're like, my Gyarados is gorgeous.
Yeah, Gyarados.
I'm gonna marry it.
One. Yeah. I'm gonna have sex with that Gyarados. Okay, Love is Blind, really popular, eh?
Yeah,
Just so crazy.
I've never seen a full episode. My player one loves it. I can see the appeal for sure.
But you can't see each other, right? That's the thing.
In the beginning, I think the way it works is you build a rapport with someone without seeing them at all, and then you have to agree to marry them before you see them.
Oh, fuck me.
And then you see them.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's too. Oh, I'm already married. Damn it. I was already halfway through filling out my application. This is okay. I can admit this is bad. It's not an essential piece of technology. Yeah. It did something very limited, and even the payoff, if I wasn't so invested into this game and this world, would have meant absolutely nothing. Even to the point that it's still, I was like kidding myself, going like, "This is good." And I'm like, "This is good. This is good." Shut up.
That was my entire experience with Pokemon Stadium the whole time. To be honest, I know you did. Yeah,
I love Pokemon Stadium. So I don't think it should be high.
Yeah,
I will advocate for a B, but I will accept a C.
I think I will go with a B as well.
You really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, because again, we want to stack B to be the heaviest. That's what we have to do with the tier list.
The heaviest.
And B it's got to be the heaviest. Mm-hmm. The problem with a C is like it did everything it promised, and it did give me a great feeling when it first started to work, and also the technology of seeing data transfer from one console to another felt like magic at the time. And looking back, it's like, well, that's simple. We can do I can save on my PS5 Baldur's Gate and play it on my computer. Like it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But there was something really special about it and kind of ahead of its time. And I applaud Nintendo for doing something like that. Yeah. So I think B is fitting.
Okay. Actually, okay. That worked out then. All right.
I think it be fitting.
That sounds like a pop group in the 90s. Befitting.
Befitting.
Yeah.
Andrew, do you think B is the most mid tier?
I think it is by almost every definition.
Yeah, it's very mid.
Yeah, it slaps.
You'd almost nice.
Yeah. It's based.
And B stands for based.
Yeah, it is.
It low key slaps.
It does low key slap. We're saying stuff from 10 years ago and we're like, this is modern talk.
Bucket hats?
Yeah. You're just naming things? Man, it's weird how everyone likes baggy pants again.
Jeans with wide, like almost bell bottoms, but the whole way up.
You remember mod robes?
What are those?
You don't remember mod robes? They kind of look like pants doctors wear.
Oh, yes, I do. Actually, my player one showed me
Scrubs.
that once. Yeah.
Yeah, those are called. Mod robes. Yeah, you don't remember those? Oh, I had a pair of those.
I know what they are.
There used to be a mod robe store on a major street. It doesn't matter to me mentioning
What happened to them?
I don't know. Probably a fire. Probably something devastating.
Wow. Sheesh.
Now mewing is all the big thing.
What is mewing?
You don't know about mewing?
I want to know if you know.
I don't know. It's this thing about like.
You don't know?
No, it's this thing about getting your jaw like losing the fat under your jaw by doing this tongue movement, and pretty much over and over and over again, people are like, it works. It's very bad for you, and it's like doctors like, do not do that. That is like messing you up.
Wait, you have to.
I can't. It's a very visual thing, so I can't. This on the podcast is probably a bad idea, but you can look it up. It's 151st Pokemon. It's Mewtwo. No, Mew was 151.
Yeah, I think so. Mew and Mewtwo. 150 may have been Mew and Mewtwo may have been 151.
Okay,
I should know this.
Yeah, we should know that.
So N64 Transfer Pack goes in at a B, a very mid rating, if I have to be completely honest with you.
Olivia Rodrigo.
Fit check.
Fit check. Get ready with me.
Sheesh. N64 Transfer Pack is going there. I said that as though that was our next one to review. Here's an iconic one, Andrew, for you. Something that was low down on our list of things to do, but we wanted to save some of the best for last. It's the Dance Dance Revolution pad.
Wow, this is a big one.
This is a big one, and here's one thing that I really want to stress. Most people had the kind of like soft pad.
Like a twister mat.
Almost like a twister mat. That's 90% of the people who had one of these.
Yes.
The hard mats, I haven't seen very much of them.
People had hard mats?
I think so.
Oh, wow.
In arcades especially, but for most people it was the soft mat.
Yes, we had a soft mat.
Playing an arcade Dance Revolution was an entirely different thing than playing with the soft mat. as much as you kind of think it's like this does what it promises, it was such an iconic peripheral for the time and it's S tier. Didn't you struggle dancing on a soft mat because it would just move around all the place?
It would like flip over itself.
Yeah.
And like it was a little tough. It was fun.
Yeah.
It's like, it is very much like an at-home thing. Like,
yes,
you had the professional model, then you had an at-home. You're like,
yeah,
this is kind of the at-home version of this.
Right.
So like, it worked, but you're right. It did feel kind of cheap.
It did feel cheap, and it almost felt like you had to do that thing, kind of like you're talking about with the N64 transfer pack, where you're sort of like looking around the whole time, like, this is good, right? This is good. I like this. Where the the Dance Dance Revolution pad, we're playing with it, and you play a song, and you miss like 7 of the steps because the corner folded up or something, and you're looking to the person you're playing with, like, this is good, right? This is
like this.
Why would we ever go back to the arcade?
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
good. There was always a part of me that knew it wasn't quite there, although I played the shit out of it. And here's another thing that no one really talked about with it. I bet you I lost more calories playing this game than in the Wii Fit.
Absolutely, you did. Yeah, this is probably the most intense workout you get at home.
I think so.
We played recently for your birthday at an arcade bar in the city, and I played one round and my hands were on my knees. I was like, "Holy fucking shit!" It was
exhausting.
I was like, "Oh my god!"
We were playing with winter boots on, which wasn't the best call.
It's an outdoor bar.
It's exactly. No, it was way more tiring than I remember.
Holy
it being.
smokes!
And your core strength, your calf strength. It's like playing drums in Rock Band, where you play with the bass pedal, and your calf just starts burning.
Like there's that little handlebar on the back end, that you see people holding their hands behind their back on the bar.
Yeah, you see quitters doing that,
and then but like the best players in the world are doing that, right?
No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't be allowed. You shouldn't be allowed.
I actually don't. I don't disagree with you. Or a better way of saying that, it would be, I agree with you.
You could say it like that,
but I wouldn't.
I don't disagree. I don't agree. I agree not to agree with the way you said that, the way you phrased it.
I'm upset that you started that conversation. No, but like, I think you should just have to freehand it, right? And I always imagine that bar was there to make sure you didn't fall off.
That's it, yeah.
And they've cheated a little bit, but yeah.
Game Genied it.
Yeah, it's like almost like, well, put a chair in the middle then. You know what I mean? Like, like what's the point?
Here are 4 extra legs. Do whatever you want with it. Yeah.
You just poke the stick.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you ever see people who play like the experts who play on both dance pads? It's the coolest thing of all time.
I just, it gets to that thing you were talking about in Rock Band, or you were talking about Guitar Hero like 2 months ago. You played Guitar Hero again for the first time, and you're like, I thought it'd be so cool, and it wasn't cool.
Yes.
You get to a certain point where dancing, where it becomes like, how long have you been doing this?
Yes.
Like, are you okay?
Honestly, though, I remember the first time I saw someone do it at an arcade, and they did, in order to get over to the other pad, they got like down on their knees and did like a 360, like actual dance move. And I was like, I mean, put it this way, I think about it to this day.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Do you think those people know how to dance?
It looked like he was dancing, honestly. Like it was really cool.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool.
You look jealous.
I am jealous.
You're so fucking jealous.
I'm so jealous.
So the DDR pad, Andrew, I had it. I played a decent amount with it. I remember the first time I ever saw it was at my buddy Leo Lee's house, who I've brought up on this podcast quite a few times. He had a version of it way before you could get it in Canada.
Oh, cool.
And I saw it in his place, and I was like, it was next to a Dreamcast with a bunch of burnt discs, and I was like, what the fuck is going? This is so cool.
Yeah.
And we played it all night. It was amazing. And that sense of wonder did continue on when I got it up to a certain point. You reach that threshold with some like add-ons and peripherals when you spend a lot on it, where you're like, oh, I'm not going to get the use out of this to justify what I spent on it. And I definitely had that feeling, but when it worked, it worked pretty well.
Really? I thought it was going to be higher, because I can just by the tone of your voice.
Yeah.
I could have gone as high as A.
I'm willing to go A with this.
Would you? Okay, let's do A then, because
Okay.
I think it does, for the most part, do exactly what it says it was going to do.
And I think for that reason, a lot of people would think S tier, because it was like the OG peripheral.
But it was just...
That's it. There was something a little bit off with it.
Yeah.
There were workarounds, like you could tape it to the floor or have like that, like, but it still just wasn't quite the same. Like playing it in arcade, that's S tier.
Oh yeah, that's S tier.
Playing it at home is a step below, and that step below I think is A.
I agree with you.
Let's go with, I think we'll do the last one. I was going to do an attachable controller keyboard, like that they used to have on the Xbox 360, but it seems so niche, and it was functional, but not necessary anymore. Maybe when we do our look back on weird peripherals, we can include all the controllers that had built-in keyboards, like the GameCube one that had legitimately a full QWERTY keyboard, like a full size. It was like you were holding, it was like 1.5 feet long.
Yeah.
We can talk about that then, but let's table that one. Instead, we'll go for our last one on the list, Andrew. It is the Kinect.
Oh, the Microsoft Xbox
Microsoft Xbox Kinect bundled in with every Xbox One. The reason why it was way too expensive for a home console.
That's why I had to Kinect.
Yeah,
you had to Kinect. I had to Kinect. Obviously, the important story. So it is a webcam essentially that could follow you around the room, and we're talking about what dance moves could do. It's a little bit of that. It also had a microphone and a speaker.
Yes.
And so you could be talking to it. You could see all the technology that it used to have. This is 15 years ago, probably more than that. And you could see what it means to modern technology now.
Yes.
We all have Siri or Alexa or whatever it is. And there's versions of that you can see in this. The problem is it just didn't work very well.
Yeah.
And Mikey has to tell a 30-second version of the story of getting fired as a soccer manager.
In my past life, I was a soccer manager.
Yes.
There was a brief stint where I got into FIFA on the Xbox One. I can't remember exactly which year it was, maybe 13, 14, maybe FIFA 14, I think. And that came with the Kinect, as every Xbox One game did. It didn't come with the Kinect, but it encouraged you to have it on for some cool reasons. If you're playing, you could yell at your players to make a run for the ball, to cut in. You kind of lob a ball over the defenders. You can tell people to pull back.
Right.
You can change formations. All this stuff is
pretty cool.
Is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's neat. The issue I had, which I didn't know at the time, is that it's always listening to you, for better or worse. And I was managing a team on Liverpool, my squad, and I was maybe FIFA may have been the most frustrating game I've ever played in my fucking life. I fucking hated that game. But I wanted to get good at it because I wanted a new sports game to play, and I would swear too much, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
My family was concerned about me. I was living at home at the time. They would just hear me yelling and swearing and cussing. Sheesh, they used to say. And I finish a game after, a 10 game losing streak, and there's a message in my Be a GM portfolio that says, your off-field antics are becoming a problem. We pride ourselves on the utmost, blah, blah, blah. And that's when I shut it down. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I thought they were talking about I was losing a lot. And then the next game I go play, and I'm actually doing well. And I score, and I say, fuck yes. And I'm kind of like jumping around. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. And after that game, there's another message from my BAGM mailbox, and it says, we warned you once. Your outrageous behavior on the sidelines has become a detriment to the team. You're fired. And I got let go from the team. I unplugged my Kinect. I threw it against the wall. I never put that thing back into my console.
I love that story so much.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Soccer, football, famously a well-behaved sport where there's no cursing at all.
No, never. The beautiful game.
Beautiful game, absolutely. So I understand that. It is kind of weird that they would have voice text, they could tell you were swearing.
Or, they could, but they couldn't tell whether it was for good or bad reasons,
They didn't care.
They didn't care.
Yeah.
It was because when I was like, fuck yeah, I thought they'd be like, hey, nice show of support for your team. This is great. But it wasn't that at all.
Yeah.
They were mad at me.
I know. I don't know, man. I thought this was cool because it was cool having it because we didn't have anything like it at the time.
Yeah.
We didn't have phones with cameras in it like the way we do now. We didn't have webcams existed, but they weren't as integrated to a console like 100%. It is now. And it was more cool to have one because you had one than actually using it.
Yes. Now, here's the thing. As much as I want to dismiss it for a lack of proper implementation and lack of longevity and getting me fired from my position right as I was turning the team around and everyone knew it.
What team?
Liverpool.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you were more of an Everton guy.
Andrew.
No?
Why would you do this?
Man City? No.
Andrew.
Okay.
Andrew, stop it.
I just thought you liked blue over red.
Andrew.
I'm choosing a bunch of blue teams. Ranger? No.
I don't know. I guess Man City would be. Yeah,
Man City's blue, right?
Yeah.
Isn't Everton blue?
Everton is blue.
Yeah, see?
Man United. Well, you said Manchester, and my mind.
Oh, I meant Man City. Sorry.
Yeah.
You have to be impressed that I was able to do that.
That's very well done.
Thank you very much. I know nothing about soccer.
And I know everything about all the sports you love. Josh Allen was on the cover of
Yes, very good.
But if
It's a big year for athletes I like being on covers of
That's
sports.
true. That's true.
My sports games.
if you say that it didn't work and wasn't well implemented, there's one huge franchise that you're overlooking, which is Just Dance, a franchise I never played but was fucking massive
And is coming back.
And I'll be interested to see how it's implemented in terms of like the video interface of it all. But used the Kinect and used it really well, and a lot of people loved this game.
So much so that I didn't play this game very much. You didn't play this game very much, but everyone knows one dance from this.
Yeah.
And it's Rasputin.
Rah.
And everyone could do the like, da, da,
Yeah.
da, 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 like it to the point that I don't know this game, and yet I'm like, I think I know that dance.
Yes,
though.
100%.
And so they're bringing it back, and then there's some like Disney songs and stuff. It looks pretty cool because they're redoing all the animations and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
it worked well for a lot of people, and I always have a soft spot for games that penetrate a market that go beyond the what?
Sorry, soft spot, and then right to penetrate. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
I use my hard spot to penetrate the soft spots.
It's been a long day, Mikey.
It's been a long day. So I want to give it some space for that, for the fact that I know that it was the reason why one of the biggest franchises in peripheral history did as well as it did. However, I hate it. I hated the Kinect. I always wanted it off. I didn't like the fact that like the idea of, well, it can see who's holding the controller so it knows that's my profile. I'm like, that is really cool.
Yeah.
But all the downside of like the, the surveillance state kind of thing of like lack of privacy, I just never had it plugged in. And then my gaming habits didn't change whatsoever. So I think from like personally, I wouldn't give it this high, but maybe to give it the respect of the people who loved Just Dance, I would suggest like a B.
That's kind of where I'm ending up, even though I think that's on the high end for me. But yes.
I agree as well. I think if it weren't for Just Dance, this would be a C or an F.
Or an F,
Like I just really disliked the Kinect for a lot of reasons.
There's a trend here. There's one game that made this peripheral amazing.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the other games just didn't use it or were able to captivate what was so good about it. So I think we're being nice to it, but yes, we'll put it at a B.
Okay, that sounds good. We've got now a pretty actually spot
Whoa,
on. Like
this worked out so
it's
well.
already kind of pyramided.
Holy smokes.
Let's go over what we got right now. In the F tier, we have Tony Hawk Pro Skater, the skateboard.
Yes.
We have the Power Glove. In C, we have the chainsaw controller, the Game Boy camera and printer, the SNES mouse and keyboard, and Rob the robot.
Yep.
In B, we have the drum kit, the Donkey Konga bongos.
Donkey Konga bongos.
Thank you. Wii Fit, N64 transfer pack, and the Kinect. In A, we have the Rumble pack, the VMU for Dreamcast, the Multitap for the PlayStation, the DDR pad. In S tier, we have the Guitar Hero controller, the Duck Hunt Zapper, and the Game Shark / Game Genie.
Zap. Yeah, absolutely. I honestly don't know if I change anything.
We kind of nailed it. The only question we'd have is do we remove one from S tier to make it more sacred, or do we keep it as is because there's 3 really solid ones in there?
If you were going to remove one, which one would you remove?
I think it would probably be either the Zapper or the Game Genie. Maybe the Game Genie, just because it wasn't as integral to the games themselves, if that makes sense.
Because you could always play it without it.
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to challenge us to do. Move one from the S tier to A and one from the A tier to B, because that will really maintain the pyramid shape.
I would probably do the Game Genie then.
Okay.
I'm a little biased, but I would probably do the Game Genie only because if I showed people the Duck Hunt Zapper, I think most people would be like,
that's it.
Okay,
it's so like I wanted to fight for the Rob because of collectability. The Zapper itself is like so iconic like that. I agree. I like that.
Okay.
I feel good about that.
So then we're going to move one from A to B. What are the A games we have?
So we've got the Rumble Pack for N64, the VMU for the Dreamcast, the Multitap for the PlayStation, the DDR pad, and the Game Shark / Game Genie.
I don't think we're moving the Rumble Pack.
I don't think we're moving the Rumble Pack.
And I don't think we're going to move Game Genie because it was just moved from S.
Yes, we can't move that.
So let's look at the other 3 then.
So DDR pad, Multitap, VMU for Dreamcast.
Oh man, it could be any of them for me.
Yeah.
I don't think the DDR pack, to be honest, either.
I don't think so either.
No.
It was especially, if we're giving a thumbs up to like being ahead of its time, it felt very much ahead of its time. So I wouldn't want to do that. I know you're going to want to say the VMU, and I kind of understand that. I may just be like, if we remove the multi-tap, we are shunning an entire generation of PlayStation gamers. If we remove the VMU, it's the three of us that had a Dreamcast. So maybe that has to be it.
I would say it's between the multitap and the VMU.
Yeah.
I would obviously probably lean on the VMU because I had the multitap, so I'm a little biased. But like, also, I believe the multitap was used by more people.
Yes. I'm okay moving the VMU.
Yeah, because it's going to B. It's not like it's going to F.
Yes.
You know.
And to be fair, as cool as it was, it wasn't as functional across multiple games. It was kind of like Sega themselves forgot about it beyond Sonic Adventure, kind of.
Yeah.
But honestly, just recently, fans remade like the hardware itself of VMU 2.0. Like they released a new updated version of it, which is very, very cool. There is a lot of love for it out there, and that's where I'm going to find my people.
That's awesome. Okay, so there we go. So we've brought back still a little bit of a bell curve here. We did, and I think that looks good. Awesome. Well, hey, we did it, guys. Took 2 episodes, but we have ranked all the peripherals for this time.
We did.
Because we probably could do it again.
we probably could. I wanted to give a quick shout out before we leave to a longtime listener to the podcast, Josh Watts.
Okay.
Who reached out to us. I hope he's okay with me saying his last name. He didn't say not to.
We'll find out. And if you hear a beep afterwards, it's because he was not okay.
It was not okay. He reached out because he just had a baby.
Oh!
And he said, this is from the message that he sent. He said, after he arrived yesterday, I was cradling him skin to skin and I hummed Mario music, specifically File Select from Mario 64. He seemed to really respond to it, opening his eyes a lot and even took a hold of my finger, which I didn't expect to happen so soon. Truly emotional, amazing experience. Just such a nice story. A very nice story. So nice. Josh Watts and his partner have been I think his partner actually got him into the podcast. Okay. Big supporters of the podcast for a long time. And this message goes back a while. You know, we've been giving shout outs to our listeners who have sent us mail, and today's his turn.
Oh, Josh, mazel tov. Congratulations. That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for sharing that with us and all the other D-pads out there.
And if you've got a message or a baby you want to tell us about,
email ship us. A baby to us.
The retrogradepodcast@gmail.com. Don't email us the baby. Send that to our P.O. box.
Yeah, the P.O. box gets checked, I don't know, every 10 days or something like that. It'll be fine. Maybe put some food in it with it, you know. Cut some holes in the box. Josh, that's how we deal with happy news around here. That's immediately take a piss. Which, congratulations on the baby, probably doing the same thing. Yes. So, but yes, we love every single one of you, and Josh's new baby especially, and we can't wait to talk to you soon. My name is Andrew Bascom. With me, as always, is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself,
Mikey Aaronworth.
This is the Retrograde Podcast.
Game over. Now, let me just go check that P.O. box. I haven't checked it.
Oh, God, is it already March?
5 dead babies.
No!
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
We didn't care that you're gay. You fucked yourself.
Yeah, I think this is incest, possibly.